Boy, oh boy, weather can sure be a tricky thing to figure out. Mother Nature, very, very finicky sometimes. What's up? Welcome into the Word with G under the Chatted Up Sports umbrella. I'm your host, Greg Larnerd, and this is our weekly conversation with the head softball coach for the Chattanooga Mocs, Mr. Frank Reed. We'll get to him in just a moment, but want to just let you know, follow us anywhere you can on social media at Chat It Up Sports, wherever you get your podcasts as well. Hit us up on there. Follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube. We greatly appreciate it. It's definitely helpful for us if you rate, subscribe, follow, like, all those things. We really, really appreciate that. As I was getting to, the weather can be a little bit finicky. This past weekend for our Chattanooga Mocs softball program, we played 2 games on Saturday against Mercer. Luckily, we took care of business, winning both of those games on Saturday. The Mercer Bears were not too pleased about that. And then we show back up on Sunday only to try to dodge the raindrops, and unfortunately, we were unable to do so. The game was called, and we didn't get a chance to finish the series, and unfortunately, we won't be able to finish that series. So the Mocs, as it sits right now, we are 4-1 in the conference. Again, proud that we took care of business on Saturday and Sunday. Yes, you'd love to get that opportunity to play another game, to potentially sweep an entire series instead of just an abbreviated series. But it is what it is. We got the 2 wins, and you get out of there and you head on with conference play near the top of the conference at 4 wins to 1 loss. Again, in his 24th season with the Chattanooga Mocs softball program, he is a Hall of Fame softball coach. He's been at Chattanooga State before this. Again, a very, very illustrious career here at UTC. We'll join our co-host, my guest on the show, Mr. Frank Reed. Coach, welcome in. Good morning. It's nice and bright out there today, but again, it looks like we're going to have to deal with some weather potentially this weekend. But before we get into this weekend where we're going to be facing Western Carolina, I want to look back on the weekend that was. I know we got a chance last week to talk about our game against Tennessee Tech. So let's talk about the Mercer Bears. We go into that weekend, obviously with high expectations, high hopes. We go out there, we perform on Saturday to the tune of 2 wins. First game, 2-1, a very close affair. Peja Gould pitches a fantastic game. Hitters do just barely enough. Let's start there. Talk to me about Peja battling, the offense doing just enough, and kind of some of the struggles that we saw in that game. And again, you know, the offense needed kind of that wake-up call after that first game.
Yeah. First and foremost, I like the new title, co-host. That works well for me.
Okay, co-host. That means you have to start asking me some questions.
Well, we could do that.
Okay. Hey,
maybe we should probably get together. We should probably get together and make sure that we're running those through the whatever the check system before we ask them. Anyhow,
hey, this is like this is not radio. We can talk about whatever we want basically here.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, the weekends in the spring, we call ourselves a spring sport. If you look at the scheduling, you know, college sports, spring is baseball, softball. Nothing spring about the time of year we're playing. Obviously, we're starting to get a little taste of spring. You know, we talked about earlier before came on the show about we witnessed snow, sleet, rain, wind, a lot of wind. Just trying to get in games to play. Sometimes not, and that goes against my grain on everything. I hate weather that affects the outcome of the game, and I think a lot of those times it could, you know, especially wind. You know, if the ball's blown out, the pitchers, you have to match up with the right pitcher. And then just gripping the ball for pitchers, or you know, with the rain or dampness, or that kind of thing. But we've trudged through it, and so here we are again for our 24th season here at UTC. And back to the weekend, weather did come in and have a effect on what we were doing. We have the early win on Saturday with Peja, pitched maybe a 1 or 2 hitter, I'm not sure. Did a great job, you know, keeping them off base, and then we scored just enough runs to win the ball game, which 2 runs.
Two hitter. Yep.
The 2-hitter and scored a couple of runs. So you know, that's all that matters. You know, if you're one more than the other team. Pretty solid day. I think we put the ball in play well. Did I recall? Mm-hmm. Just looking back, you know, we put the ball in play hard. We worked a little bit on going oppo, and we did that really, really well. I think, especially in the first game, where we tried to somebody was bat to glove or ball to glove or whatever. But we hit some hard shots that way. So hopefully, then that ended up, I think, paying off for us moving into the second game. But we got great pitching from Peja and, equal performance from Taylor. I think she pitched what? You probably know how many hits she gave up.
She gave
maybe
three hits. Yep. So Mercer had 5 hits on the entire weekend in one row.
Yeah. So I'm sure they're not happy. They weren't happy about that. And so we scored just enough runs. Sorry about the phone. We scored just enough runs to be able to, those 5 hits 5-hitter that they pitched to win a couple of ball games. Unfortunately, Sunday didn't play out as well. Sunday had bad weather through the day. They picked a time, and the time didn't work out. And we got heavy rains and thunderstorms and lightning, and so we ended up having to come home a little early, which I'm sure the players didn't mind because, just get a little bit more rest. But good weekend. I hate that we lost a game because conference titles is figured on winning percentage. So you don't want to have one less opportunity to have won a game. Somebody will there. One less opportunity to have won a game, which figures into the winning percentage. So could have outcome on how you finish the season, which I had that happen to us one year. So you try to get them all in. I'm an advocate for doing what other conferences have done. I think it's only fair to our athletes. We ask our athletes to go out. It's not, and people are going to argue. They're going to say you go out and you play summer ball, and you play 4 games, 5 games a day. But it's not the same. Most of those games end up being 5 innings. They're on a time limit. Not as much stress and those types of things on the individual athlete. And then, of course, they maybe have a larger squad. Everybody's getting an opportunity to play, moving people around. Unlike us, everything counts in season or in league play, and so they're asked us to come in on the weekend and in over 2 days and play 3 games, 2 in one day and another in another day. We used to have to play 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, which was really hard on the athlete and the team, and trying to get travel and all that kind of stuff. So we changed it to 3 games, 2 games on Saturday, 1 game on Sunday. But really what it should be for the athlete, for the safety and health of the athlete, it should be a game on Friday, game on Saturday, game on Sunday, or what some of the other conferences do. They switch it up and they'll play a game on Saturday, a game on Sunday, and a game on Monday. So if you're going to stay with a 3-game format, I would be for going to a 3-day, play 1 game a day. We don't ask any other sport to stay out there that long, other than baseball.
Yeah. But even baseball, at the Division I level, and I'm just thinking about the SEC, they play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They don't even really play doubleheaders.
Right. Most of your conferences are doing that now. So, I like to see the Southern Conference step up and do that for the young ladies in our conference and show them as much care as the other conferences are. And then it has a tendency, if you do have a situation where you have, let's say you got a Friday, Saturday, Sunday game scheduled and you realize that Sunday's not going to work, you can play a doubleheader on Friday or a doubleheader on Saturday and still get your 3 games in. The only other option would be, and I know a lot of people would say they were against this, would only play 2 games in conference. Play 1 Friday, 1 Saturday, or 1 Saturday, 1 Sunday. And then you're back to the 1-game format. You're down 1 less game. So what it would mean in conference, in our conference, with 8 teams, you'd lose 7 ball games to not playing. But at the end of the day, for the health and safety of the athlete, and for be able to get all your games in. So if you came in we came into Mercer on Friday and we had to play Saturday, Sunday on a 2-game series, we could have got them in on Saturday like we did, and the series complete and we go home. If we needed to stretch it, we could have stretched it to, out of those 2 days, we could have found a day that we could actually play, maybe Friday. So even this weekend with Western coming to town, Western Carolina, we're looking at maybe having to move the game because Sunday doesn't look good at all. Friday is in the 80s, sunny. Saturday's in the 80s, sunny. So we're looking at playing 1 game on Saturday night. 1 game on Friday night and 2 games on Saturday, which worked out really well. Just my thoughts for what it's worth. I think if you took a vote of the coaches and they told you exactly what they would love to do or wanted to do, I think that's the way they would want to do it. Then it comes down to getting the people on board in your institutions to be able to. What they'll say, you have to fund an extra day of bus. And the only way not to do that is go back to the 2-game format, and you're still out the same amount of time.
Yeah, I got you. It's a lot when you have to go. You say Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was going to ask you, how does something like that get changed? It would have to be, to be administration at each individual school, and then they'd have to go to the conference, or do you know how that would work?
Coaches could recommend it in their conference meeting, ask it them to take it to our SWAs, our women's administrators, and then they would take it back to the schools, to the ADs, and then the ADs would have a final vote on it as to whether they would want them to do that. So I think, if a typical day, people don't understand a typical day for us. There's no other sports other than baseball. Get this. So we get out there for a 1 o'clock game on Saturday, right? So we get out there at 11. So we're actually up early, getting breakfast, getting out there and stretching. So we're stretching 2 hours out at 11. So you could say technically competition starts at 11. So that's when you want them to have the mindset. The mindset is we're getting ready to play a conference series at 11 o'clock, right? Stretching and all that stuff is included. So you got 11. You start at 1. You finished at 3 if you're lucky, 3:30 probably. So then at 3:30, say your game's over and you have a little cool down time. So now they haven't eaten since breakfast. So now you got to feed them. So now we're feeding them sandwiches, peanut butter sandwiches, bologna, whatever they eat over the course. And then, of course, the coaches are trying to make out lineups and get ready for the next game. So say the next game starts at got a 30-minute window, game ended at 3:30. So now you're at 4. And so you're figuring a 2-hour window for the next game. So that's probably going to end up around 6, maybe 6:15. Let's say 6:30. Give it 2 hours and a half. So at 6:30, they haven't eaten again since really a decent meal since earlier in the day. Now they're finishing up competition at probably 6:30. So what time did they get out there? They started at 11, where their mindset should have been focused on the game, focused on no distractions. We're trying to win 2 conference series games. So, you do the math. How many hours is that? You're asking an athlete to compete. You run a basketball team in, they play 2 hours, only play 1 game, and they're done. Football, same thing. I mean, it's a couple hour, maybe 3-hour football game, and they play the game and they're done. They eat before, they eat after. They're off, they're nourished and doing whatever they need to do. And that's the reason you see a lot of conferences that went to the 1-game set. So you cut that in half, that time. So then you say, well, you got 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 7-hour day. It's a 7-hour day to try to get 2 ball games in and stay mentally focused, stay hydrated, stay, food-wise, nutrient-wise, and be able to play. That's a lot of ball.
Yeah, it certainly is.
A lot of time. And so that's the reason a lot of conferences have chosen to go to you cut it in half, so it's a 7-hour day. Now you cut it down to a 3.5, 4-hour day, and you're within reason, but you're still playing a lot of time.
Yeah, you are playing a lot of time. Something to think about and potentially something to consider after the season to bring up. I assume this happens every single year where you get an opportunity, all the coaches get a chance to bring something up or propose something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see if anything changes here in the coming years. But I wanted to kind of backtrack a little bit to go back to the games against Mercer, and that first game in which we won 2-1. We scored both of our runs on a deep fly ball by Olivia LePerry to right field. Right fielder caught the ball, kind of stumbled a little bit into the wall. Cam Cernudo was on second. Thank goodness she had good speed. She was able to score from second, with the runner also scoring from third. That's how we got both of our runs. So we had 2 games where we scored 3 runs without the benefit of a hit. And there was some impassioned talk in between games towards our offense. You and Coach Scotty both kind of got after the offense a little bit, and they showed up in that second game and put up 6 runs and scored a little bit more consistently, continued to hit the ball hard, like you mentioned. What do you think the benefit was of kind of having more of that harsh talk in between games and that little stern talking to kind of get them going a little bit?
I think not as much so as far as getting them ready to play, but just reminding them the importance of them being prepared and making adjustments and doing those types of things. Sometimes you maybe strike out, you have a bat at bat, you pop one up, you're down on yourself, and not carrying that at bat or whatever to the next time, and understanding that we talk about it a lot. Everybody, it's not nothing new. You got to hit it, you got to pitch it, you got to field it. You do three things well, you're going to probably win on the winning side. So, fortunately for us, in the first game, we pitched it well, we fielded it well, and we did not really hit it that well. We had the long fly ball, which would have scored one, and then the throw didn't get in time, and so I'm not even sure if she even made a throw, but throw didn't get in time. Cam scored. That gets us our 2 runs on a pop fly. That's going to be it's going to score a run anyway. Sacrifice fly, I should say. It's going to score a run anyway. So we did what we needed to do to be able to score, but obviously we got the good defense and we got the good pitching behind Pager in that game, and the rest is like 2 out of 3. You're probably going to win a game. We scored just enough. So I think that's the thing we look at, trying to get all the cylinders, all the 3 cylinders going at the same time. You fail in 2 of those areas. You don't pitch it well and you don't hit it well, you play good defense, you're probably going to lose. Or if you pitch it well and you don't hit it well and you don't play good defense, you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes maybe you do 2 of the 3 things well and the other thing just good enough. And I think that symbolized what we did on Saturday in the first game.
Let's talk a little bit about the second game. And in that second game, there was something big that happened. Excuse me. One of our freshmen who's gotten an opportunity to play a lot, Lexie Cooley, hit her first collegiate home run. She also hit over, I believe, 500 on the weekend. She hit the ball hard. She was driving the ball the other way. Talk to me a little bit about the significance of her hitting her first home run and the really good weekend that she had, putting together a lot of really good at-bats.
Yeah. A big example for the rest of the team. Here you got a freshman who's making adjustments in the box and doing exactly what we asked her to do at the plate. She went oppo a couple of times, hit the ball. She hit out was the other, was to the power side of her swing. So, just trying to find her time, and picking up the team. That was awesome for her. Freshman, excited that she got her first home run. I was looking at some games this weekend. A lot of kids around the country getting their first home run. After sort of getting into the season, freshmen or people who are getting their first home run. So, but it's not. That's cool. It's not all about home runs, though. It's to be able to drive the ball. I think her average was there because she was able to hit the ball for an average, and so and she's done a good job for us. She fought for a position, sort of in and out early in the season, and then we sort of got established out there. I think the more she's got time to play. And being in this lineup every day, you just see her sort of getting better and better.
Sorry, I didn't know you were finished there. Let's talk a little bit about Jacksonville State moving forward here tomorrow. We play on them on Wednesday. Last time we faced them, they've got a really, really good squad. They've got a new coach. Obviously, she's been there as the associate head coach for a while, taking over the program this year, doing a lot of really good things. Has Jacksonville State playing really, really good softball this year. They've been basically a mainstay in the mid-major top 25 poll all season. We beat them in the first time around 3-2. Peja pitched a pretty good game. She allowed a two-run home run, I think, in the first inning, but Presley had a 2-run home run. Jace had a solo shot that ended up getting us the win, and Peja was good the rest of the way. What are your thoughts on this game coming up on Wednesday? I don't know if you know who's going to start yet, if it's going to be Peja or if it's going to be somebody else. I know Alyssa Labdis was, not with us this past weekend. She's been dealing with a little bit of an injury as well. So talk to me about the pitching plan going into this game and then your anticipation of what it's going to take for us to be successful in this game on Wednesday.
You're right. Jacksonville State, I really respect that program. They're doing it the right way there. And proud for their new head coach. And she's done a good job and got some quality wins. Had some quality wins before we got down there. So to beat them at their place, an afternoon game, that was pretty huge for us. I think it's going to be more of I think you're going to have to score more than 3 runs to beat them coming in the weekend. I'm coming in to tomorrow. But I'm not sure about pitching, how I'm going to work that. We got to obviously figure that out and then going into the weekend. And like you said, Alyssa's been hurt, and then not sure exactly what I'm going to do with the rest of the 3 yet. So we'll try to figure that out. You want midweek. You want to win midweeks to be able to stay strong and have that mental approach to the next week or to the next weekend. At the same time, you can have a bad midweek and it carry over, so you don't want that to happen as well. So it's just such a fine line to that the loss wouldn't hurt, the loss doesn't count or whatever, but you need the win to be able to propel you into the weekend feeling pretty good. Somebody told me the other day, I read it somewhere, that we have won 23 of our last 25 ball games. I didn't realize that. I mean, it just didn't. I don't think I think about that kind of stuff. But then I thought, I remember reading it, and I thought, wow, we've won 23 of our last 25. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But those two losses, it seemed like just came at one came at a good time. The other one not really a good time. You think, well, if you have a loss, how's it going to work? How's it going to carry over? Are they going to get fired up? Are they going to get upset? Are they going to really carry the fire into the next ball game? So, but you want to get better at the same time. You want to stay sharp, and that's you're able to obviously do that. Playing at home, though, on a beautiful afternoon that we're supposed to have tomorrow. We've had some great crowds out at Frost Stadium this year. Occasionally look up in the stands. I don't do that much, but you see a lot of people up there. So a lot of young teams coming out and watching this play. So it should be a good day for us tomorrow.
Yeah, it should be. And Jacksonville State, just to kind of put that out there, they're 23-13 overall, 6-6 so far in conference play. So again, going to be a good game, and it's going to be beautiful out there on Wednesday as well, weather-wise. And I've already heard for some people that that I do lessons with, hey, we're bringing some of the softball teams or softball girls out there for the game on Wednesday. They were excited about getting some balls signed or doing whatever. So that's always exciting, something we like to do at Frost Stadium as well. And then let's move to the weekend really quickly. We've got Western coming in. They have not started off conference play real hot, but you really don't want to take anybody for granted in this league, because the second you start taking somebody for granted is when you get beat. So talk to me a little bit about, I know you know Jim Cliff you've known him a long time, and the type of program that he runs and the type of teams that he usually has. And this is a team that's kind of down a little bit right now to start conference play, but I assume we're going to kind of get into how you can't take them for granted. We shouldn't take them for granted, and you got to go out there and you got to just win it. Kind of like we did last year at the end of the year, where it would have been easy to sort of just roll in there, throw our cleats out there, our gloves out there, and assume we're going to win. We had conference on the line, and we went out there and we swept them, and we won, the regular season of the conference. So talk to me a little bit about Western and Jim Cliff's group and what we're going to need to do to be successful this weekend.
Well, I know he was upset, not only just losing the ball games, but just the way they lost. It was upsetting to him. I spoke with him yesterday about weather. He said, we just sort of a reset day. We're just going to come out today or yesterday and just have a reset day, which, everybody has those. And so, they're not. I don't think that's indicative. I don't think that's indicative of their team. So, and they're pesky. They'll come in and they'll do this and do that to try to win. And, you look over their roster. They had several kids that made the all-conference preseason team. So, they'll bring everything they have to the weekend, and so we have to be ready to play. And it's a little chip on their shoulder too, from losing 3 ball games in the fashion that they did. Nobody likes that. I mean, and that that caused you to not get sleep at night, and the coaches and the staff's trying to figure out how they get them better, coming in the weekend. But it's Chattanooga. I mean, like I said, me and Jim do have a pretty good relationship, but it's Chattanooga. Those girls know it. We're preseason 1, which I'm not really sure why, but we're preseason 1, and then come in and feel like you won a championship if you take a game or 2 or 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And this team right now is 18-18 overall, 2-4 in the conference. And just looking over some of their statistics, they've got some good hitters. They've got 4 hitters over 300, 1 over 400 as it sits right now. Lily Bell is an absolute terror. She gets on base a ton, and on base percentage over 530, which is pretty impressive. So those are some things we're going to have to contend with this weekend with Western Carolina. And just for the folks that are out there that are wanting to know, hey, what's going on for this weekend, stay tuned. We will post it on social media about what days specifically we're going to play. But we do have some fun promotions this weekend. We're going to have Christmas in April. It's supposed to be the first game on, the game's on Saturday. The game on Sunday was going to be Bark at the Park, so I assume that we'll be able to bring our dogs out there this weekend as well. So we're going to do a little Christmas in April and then Bark in the Park over the weekend against Western Carolina as well. All right, I always like to finish up with a thought-provoking question for Coach. And the one that I've posed to him today was, who is the most influential person on your life and why, Coach?
Good question. Thought about that a little bit. Just thinking about times in your life where, as young, what they say, girls mature faster and they know exactly what they want to do. I was one of those boys that just sort of, or guys that just sort of, I felt like I was just meandering around and trying to figure out where I wanted to go in my life. And so the two names, just two people that come to mind when you ask me that. When I was just out of school, trying to find my way, I worked in government for a while. I worked in a private engineering company. Spent a lot of time at the city government because we did a lot of work for them. Had one of my friends there. He ended up being one of a really close friend, Charlie Harris. He asked me, I never forget, he asked me, did I want a job in government? And I said, yeah. Took me into the head guy's office, the city engineer, and he said, we're looking for people that'll stay with us. This was old school. You didn't have to go to HR to hire you. If they decided they wanted to hire you, they could hire you that day. Well, he hired me that day. So we're looking for somebody to stay with us. I stayed. Me and Charlie became really good friends, really influential in my life and helping me do that. But I also had another guy that became sort of like a dad to me. Me and his son, his name was Gene Bowman. Me and his son played high school baseball together, and his son passed away early, right after high school. And I think I was for him and he was for me what we both sort of needed. He actually worked for me because I had contractor appraisals. I did bought and sold property. So I had contract appraisers that worked for me. He was one of my contract appraisers. And so we became friends, really close. So I was sort of like a son to him, and he was sort of like a second dad. And we spent a lot of time together. I mean, there wasn't a day that we went to lunch. I'm talking about months. We just wasn't guessing. We went to lunch together every day. He bought my lunch every day. As a young man, he'd always telling me things that, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. And some of it I'd chuck off, some of it I did. At that time, I hadn't finished my degree. I only had a 2-year degree. I finished. He said, you need to finish your degrees, which I did. Went on and got my master's and went on and got my undergrad and my master's, because he encouraged me to do that. And he was there pressing me every day. I can never forget. I borrowed the money to be able to finish my degree. And I like thinking, if he hadn't been there pushing me, I'd probably still be working in city government. But not that that's a bad thing, but
yeah.
Opened up doors for me down the road for other things to do. And so I miss those two guys. I miss them a lot. Some days it was always there. Gene was always there for lunch, and always, if you had a bad day, you could always talk to him. It was good. But I miss. There's other people, but those two have been really instrumental in my life.
That's great. Love to hear that. And I'm sad to hear that they're not with us anymore, but I'm glad they've had a great impact on your life and helped you to get to where you are today and become the man that you are today. We really, really appreciate those two guys. And I really appreciate you for being here once again, Coach, taking the time. And I'd be remiss if I did not say this, because I forgot to mention it when we were talking about the series against Mercer, that Taylor Long did win the SoCon Pitcher of the Year. We talked a lot about her last week. I know she's just been kind of rounding back into form, had a really good game against Tennessee Tech over during the week last week, and then followed it up with a 3-hit shutout against Mercer. She had to get out of some tough jams in that game, but she struck out a bunch and only walked a few, so that was good. Well, she did walk a couple more than we would like, but we're still working on keeping those walks down. But Coach, I appreciate the time as always, jumping on with us here for Mocs Softball Weekly. Again, we've got a full week ahead of us. A game on Wednesday. Come on out to Frost Stadium. That game is at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. And then over the weekend, again, like I mentioned, we will keep you updated as to what days and what times we will be playing this weekend. But always appreciate the time, Coach. Thanks so much for being with us.
We'll make that call for the weekend on Sunday's game. We'll make that by noon tomorrow. So as soon as we make that call, we'll get that out, social media and stuff. So hopefully everybody's watching for that.
Perfect. Sounds good. Follow us all over social media at Chatted Up Sports. Like, subscribe, rate, all those good things. We appreciate everybody being with us here this morning. Peace and love. Coach, I'll see you out at practice.
Have a great day.